Okay, so how do you declare again? How do you declare variables, and what are naming conventions to name variables? We'll say that we'll start with in Python, or it starts with in Python. Variables are like a labeled box for storing and referencing data of different types. To declare variables in Python, you assign a value to an identifier with the assignment equal operator. You don't need to use special keywords like let or const as in JavaScript to declare it. In JavaScript, like let or const or char in C sharp. In Python, you just write the name of the variable on the left, followed by the assignment operator and the value you want to assign the variable on the right. Is an example of how to declare name and age variables. Name equal John Doe. Of course, this is a string. Age equal 25. This is a number or an integer. In the example above, the variable name holds the value John Doe. This value is a string, which is a series of characters used to represent a text. Strings are written with a single or double quotes, for example, hello, hello. In future lessons, you will learn more about working with strings in Python. When naming variables in Python, there are some important rules you should keep in mind. Variable names can only start with a letter or an underscore, not a number. Okay, variable names can only contain alphanumeric characters, A to Z, A to Z, 0 to 9. Um, letter or underscore, no. Okay, an underscore. Sorry guys, how to mute this. Sorry, how to mute this. I'm not sure how to mute it. Sorry. ايوه 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 ابشر ابشر ما انت تبغى ابشر مع السلامة. Okay, 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 okay. Naming variables. Okay, we reached variable names can only start with a letter or an underscore. We get it, letter or an underscore, not a number. Variable names can only contain alphanumeric characters, A to Z, A to Z, capital, this small, this capital, from 0 to 9, and underscores. Okay, so, ايوه ايوه ها طيب 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 اوكي يلا مساء يلا مساء. Okay, variable names are case sensitive, meaning age and age and age are all considered unique. Variable names cannot be one of Python's reserved keywords such as if, class, or def. This is divine. This is like function, I think, in JavaScript. Look, I've already got a certificate in Python, but that was only 20 hours of work, and it's already rusty, and it wasn't as valuable as this one. Like there was no rigorous um, practicing like free code camp. It was only learning the basics. If you break any of those rules, if you break, so it wasn't rigorous, and this is more rigorous. If you break any of those rules, your Python program will throw a syntax error. Okay, 5 variable underscore name equal 5 syntax error variable. What's happening? Invalid syntax. Started with number, you know, started with a number. So we got, okay, then now let's go over some common naming conventions for variables in Python. First, variable names should be in lowercase with separate words separated by an underscore. This is called snake case. My variable name freecodecamp. Okay. Next, you should use descriptive names for variables. For example, if you want to save user's age as a variable, user underscore age is better than age, or an abbreviation like UA rather than age, or an abbreviation like user and yeah. So how does this differ from JavaScript? Convention JavaScript is using uh, small letters and capital letters for no underscore, capital letters for the next word, meaning that user is going to be user as it is, but this underscore is going to be capital A and G, small g and E. So, you know what I mean? So, user age equal 30. This is actually reviewing the differences is beneficial for me. So, this way you can easily communicate the purpose of variable. This way you can easily communicate the purpose of a variable to other team members or to your future self in a large code base. Another convention is to avoid using single letter variable names. Single letter variable names. What does that mean? Single letter variable names? Oh yeah. This is very common in Python but should be avoided because variable names with a single letter communicate no purpose or meaning like X. What do you mean by X? Okay. This is actually good. The dash where there is the slash for the commenting. The bound symbol uh, and the text that follows in the example above is called a comment. You might already be familiar with comments, so let's go over them quickly and explain how they work. Python comment starts with a bound symbol, and the language ignores everything after the bound symbol on that line. So actually, you can omit even um, um, even you can omit even functions or built-in functions. You can omit any code, any part, any snippet of the code, any part of the code with the bound uh, symbol, or what do you call it, the hashtag, whatever you call it. Multi-line comments can be created by using consecutive single-line comments. Okay, okay, okay. You can use comments to explain your code, leave reminders for yourself, or clarify why a line exists. Comments are especially helpful when you're learning or working in teams. However, you shouldn't use comments to explain what your variable names mean. Instead, the names you choose for your variables should be descriptive and communicate what they are for, and follow the other naming rules mentioned earlier to prevent syntax error. Which of the following is the correct way to declare a variable in a Python? Let age, const age, var age, age. Okay. Which of these is not a rule for naming variables? Variable names must start with a letter or an underscore. Not a rule. This is a rule. Variable names are case sensitive. Not a rule. Variable names cannot use Python reserved keywords. This is a rule. Variable names contain letters, numbers, and underscores. Well, this is not a rule because of the numbers. Well, it can contain letters and numbers, but it cannot start. Variable names must start with a letter or underscore. That's correct. Variable names are case sensitive. That's correct. Variable names cannot use Python reserved keywords. That is correct. Variable names can contain letters, numbers, and underscores. That is also correct. What do you mean? Which of these is not a rule for naming variables? For naming variables. What do you mean? They're all rules. So let's go back. Where did we? What am I getting? Can only starts with an underscore, with a letter or underscore, not a number. Variable names can. Okay. Underscores. Okay. Variable names are case sensitive. Variable names cannot be one of reserved. Withdraw. What do you mean? Reserved keywords, built-in function, or whatever. Variable names can only contain characters and underscores. So what are we saying? What are we saying? Names cannot use Python reserved. Case sensitive. Variable names can contain letters, numbers, underscores. Is this? I'm gonna go with this. I'm gonna go. It's this, but it's not very clear. Okay. Why should you avoid using single letter variable names? They do not communicate the purpose of the value. Python don't. They increase. They use more. Okay. Okay. Here. Names cannot use Python reserved keyword. Names are case insensitive. It is case sensitive. Insensitive. This case insensitive. It is case sensitive. So that's it. Okay. How does the print function work? So excuse me, guys. I know this. We took so long at this that I'm gonna go. What a quick. Oh. So where are we getting? How does the print function work? It's like a printf or console log. Printf in C and console log in JavaScript. So every programming language has some way to output data to the terminal with a built-in method, function, property or keyword. In Python, you can use the print function to print data to the terminal. Let's take a closer look at the print function so you can start using it with confidence. One of the first things you do when you're learning any programming language is to write a simple hello world program. Okay, you can do that really easily in Python with just the print function. To do that, you just need to put the string hello world in between the opening and closing parentheses you use to call the print function. Of course, it's a string. So, okay. You will learn more about strings and functions in Python in future lessons. For now, just consider strings as the sequence of characters surrounded by either single or double quotation marks. In the print hello world example, the string hello world is an argument passed to the print function. You can also use the print function to show multiple values. You can also use the print function to show multiple values or arguments. You can also use the print function to show multiple values or arguments at once by separating them. Wait, what? Function show multiple values, argument once by separating them with commas, for example. Okay, uh, concatenation, it's called in JavaScript, and you use the plus sign, not the comma. Here, you separate them by comma. Okay, output, my favorite colors are blue, green, red. Python automatically adds a space between each item when you separate them with commas. Automatically adds a space. Okay, this is helpful when you want to print several pieces of information. Actually, the space. So this is very much like a review. Some things click, some things like the space is very helpful to me. Why does the following code print all the values on the same line with spaces? Why does the following code print all the values on the same line with spaces? Print, my favorite colors are blue, values on the same line with spaces, because separating values with comma and print adds space between them. Okay, because strings are automatically joined together with no separator. Because each okay. What would the output of the following code be? Hello world. Hello world. Okay. What is the purpose of the quotation marks around hello world in the following code? Define a string to be printed by the print function used to call a function name. They are required only if the string contains spaces. They let Python know to print a variable name. To define a string to be printed article. This one. Okay, correct. What is this? This? I've answered this. The commas and print adds spaces between them. Okay, that's 50%. I still got two more. Two more topics or subtopics of the large topic. Sorry for take you along my journey. Okay, ask me later. What are common data types in Python? what are common data types in Python. Before working with Python variables, it's important to understand data types. A data type describes the kind of value or a variable holds, example, a number, a piece of text, or a list of items. Programming languages use data types so they know how to store and work with different kinds of information. Python is dynamically typed language like JavaScript, meaning you don't need to explicitly declare types for variables. The language knows what data type a variable is based on what you assign it to it. Unlike C plus I mean. Here are some examples. Name equal Python knows this is string, Python knows this is an integer. This is in contrast to some statically typed languages like C Sharp, Java, and C++, where you have to declare types with variables like this one string name equal int age. Yeah, very similar to C++, I guess. This one, or it is C++. I already forgot. How does it look like? All I remember is int main and stuff like this. Okay, the dynamic typing nature of Python. Rusty. Everything is rusty in my head. The dynamic typing nature of Python makes coding really fast, more flexible, but it can lead to unexpected bugs because type errors are detected only when a program runs. But it can lead to unexpected bugs. Python makes coding really fast and more flexible. It can lead to unexpected bugs because type errors are detected only when a program runs, not when the program compiles. Since Python determines data types while your program is running, type-related mistakes are only discovered at the moment. When a program runs, Python executes your code line by line. If it reaches a line where a certain object is expected to behave in a way it's not able to, Python will stop and show an error. Python will stop and show an error. The way it's not able to, Python will stop and show an error where a certain object is expected to be. It's not able to, Python will stop and show an error. In contrast, some languages compile your program before it runs. Compiling means the computer checks your code in advance and prepares to run. During this step, those languages can catch type errors before the program even starts. You do not need to know those languages yet. The important idea is simply in Python type errors. In Python, type errors can reveal themselves during execution when the program is actually running and using your code. Compiled languages catch Compiled languages catch type errors during the compile step before the program is allowed to run. Because of this, you might not learn about a type mistake in Python till the program reaches that specific line of code while running. Here are the most common data types you will use in Python. Integer, a whole number without decimals, for example 10 or minus 5. Integer var equal 10. Variable, okay. And okay, this comment means it's gonna print integer 10. So float is a number with a decimal point, like 4.41 or uh, minus zero point 0.4. So this is a float. I'm not sure. I think it's called decimal in JavaScript, but I never came to use it, to be honest, because you don't have to define it mostly, but where you can use it in the conditional statements, you can use is integer, is number, is, I think, something like that. Okay, my float var equal 4.45. Float is okay. A string a string is a sequence of characters enclosed in a single or double quotation marks like hello world. A string var hello. My string var string. Okay. Boolean a true or false type written as true or false. True, false. Okay. Boolean is the same. Set and under and unorder. Set. This is something. I think it's like arrays or like objects. I'm not sure. Set an unordered collection of unique elements like 0.5 for apple. It's more of an array. It's like an array. Set is like an array. Okay. My set var. Okay, set's gonna print. I'm not sure if it's gonna keep the curly brace parentheses here. If it's gonna print it, actually, I'm not sure. It's like an array, it shouldn't be printed. I'm not sure. Well, it's gonna be printed, yeah. But if you go in a loop, I'm not sure if it's gonna. Yeah, we'll see. Okay. Dictionary, a collection of key values. Dictionary, a collection of key value pairs enclosed in curly braces. This is like an object. This is an object. Dictionary it's called. Like, so the only difference, the parentheses, the brackets, the parentheses. So it uses the same curly parentheses, but here it gives you started with with a string. Um, oh no, what do you call this? It's of course not semicolon. So what is it? A colon? I don't know. Maybe colon. Jom, do, H colon, and then this is more of an object, and this is a more of an array, a set, and then dictionary. Okay, okay, it's both uses curly parentheses. My dictionary bar, dictionary, my dictionary name as H 12 tuple. This is the first time. An immutable ordered collection enclosed in parentheses like apple. So this is an order and an ordered array tuple. Starts with apple. Okay. My tuple var. It's gonna be useful when you call it, I think, or when you rearrange. Okay. Arrange a sequence of number often used in loops. For example, range 5. My range var. Range 5 is 0 to 5. Range to 5. Okay. With the loops. List an ordered collection of elements that supports different data types. This, this is you using the brackets, the square brackets, much more like an array, but it's ordered collection of supports different data types. What do you mean? But this is an ordered collection elements. Okay, collection of key values, immutable ordered collection. I don't know what immutable mean. Immutable, I think it cannot be changed. Immutable, I'm reckoning it cannot be changed. Immutable, it means unchanging, fixed, permanent. Yep, where are we? So, yeah, there's a whole these list sets and dictionary and tuple. These this is from data types. Well, they all support different data types. Everything you mentioned here is different data types. Here is different data types. Here is different data types. Okay, my list. None, a special value that represents the absence of a value. Equal none. Okay, so you can't just declare the variable and let it be like, because there you use let const, semicolon, the name, the variable, and semicolon. Here you have to declare it a none to hold the space. In future you'll learn more about how to work with all of these data types. Question, what does it mean is dynamically typed? Must manually specify. Python does not support different. Python automatically determines the data type based on the sign. Python cannot change. Okay, I would go with this. Okay, what is the difference between an integer and float? That integers can store both positive and negative numbers. Floats can only store numbers are whole numbers without decimals, while floats are numbers decimal points. Which of the following is true or Boolean? Okay, 75%. How do the type and instance functions work? In this like type of, I think. Okay. In the prior lesson, you learned about common data types in Python, including the string, integer, and float types. As you build out your programs, you will need to learn how to view the type for a variable. Here's an example variable: developer equal divine Devon, okay, equal Devon. To see the type of developer, is you can use type function like type developer class string. So what is a class? What do you mean class string? Okay, it goes string type developer is a string. This is a string. Is this the class or the string is a the class is the string? Okay. The output of class string means that developer is a string type. If you fail to provide any arguments to the type function, then you will receive the following error message: traceback, most recent caller, files, stood, okay, in line 1 in model type takes 1 or 3 arguments. Here are all the data types you have learned par long with their types in terminal: int, float, string, boolean, set, okay, dictionary, dict, dictionary, tuple, okay. You know why? How we know it's a tuple? Look at the enclosing symbol. The enclosing symbol is brackets, normal brackets, I guess. Okay, range and list, square brackets, non-type. Okay, there will be items in your program where you will need to verify that a particular variable is a specific type before performing operations on it. Is where the isInstance function comes in handy. P times in program, and you need to verify that a particular variable is a specific type. In operations on it, this is where isInstance function comes in hand. An example variable with a string assigned to it, account balance. If you try to do mathematical expressions like division using account balance, well then you will receive an error message because it's a string. Count balance over 2. Count balance over 2 is not canon because it's a string. Okay, unsupported operand type is for str and int. Okay, it should be integer or a decimal or a float. To see if account balance is an integer, you can check using isInstance function like this. Count balance isInstance account false. Okay, two arguments. The built-in isInstance the built-in isInstance function lets you check if variable matches a specific data type. It takes in an object. If a variable matches a specific data type, function lets you check if a variable matches a specific data type. The built-in isInstance function lets you check if a variable matches a specific data type. It takes an object in an object and the type you want to check it against, then returns a boolean. In this case, since account balance is a string, return false. The instance function also allows you to check for multiple types at once. An example of checking. Actually, JavaScript is much easier. You just type of and it shows you the type. You don't need to check if it's this type or this type. So it goes count, count balance, int float, true. Okay. In this example, account balance is an integer, so it returns true. If account balance were 12, instance would still return true because you are checking for integers or floats. In future workshops and labs, you will use type and instance functions to ensure your variables contain the correct data type before performing operations. And then wait, type, what does it return? Type. Type is like type of. Type a string. So why do I need isInstance? isInstance. If I got type telling me what type it is. I don't know. Maybe, perhaps, something I'm unfamiliar with. What will be the output of the following code? Type developer. It's gonna be class string. Which of the following functions used to check if a variable is a specific type isInstance? Okay. What will be returned in this use of the isInstance function? Int float true. Okay. Check. That's 100%. That's it for this stream. Next, we'll build a report card printer. Stay tuned for the next stream. See ya!